TD Ryan Unleashed is brought to you by Scott Diamond, your State Farm Insurance agent in DeKalb. Call 815-748-3101 or stop by at 2587 Sycamore Road, Suite D in DeKalb. Like a good neighbor, Scott Diamond and State Farm are there. Pizza Villa, pizza, pasta, sandwiches, and more at 824 West Lincoln Highway in DeKalb. Don't forget Kids Eat for Free on Thursday. For delivery or pickup, go to pizzavilla.com or call 815-758-8116. Elder Care Services of DeKalb. Safe, secure, and supported, helping you stay in home where you want to be. Call 815-758-6550 or stop in at 1701 East Lincoln Highway in DeKalb or on the web at ecsdekalb.org. My Insurance Guy in Sycamore covers Medicare to auto care and everything in between. Stop by at 204 South Main Street in Sycamore. Call 815-899-0950 or online at myinsuranceguy.com. And welcome into TD Ryan Unleashed News Podcast number 60. As always, the oak tree of the news department with us, Dan Lynch. Dan, how you doing, my friend?
Well, it's already August. Summer is slipping away.
You always think about, most people, you say, how you doing? They're so fine. Dan will actually think about it and then let you know what's going on. And we have a special guest here from the League of Women Voters here, the DeKalb County chapter version, Christi Slavenas. Christi, how you doing?
I'm doing well, thank you.
Thank you for joining us here. You know, it's funny, my mom was very active in the 1960s with the Kennedy administration, both Kennedys, and we were out handing out flyers and stuff, but she belonged to the League of Women Voters, and I always pictured lots of women in big white skirts. You know, I didn't really know what they did, but tell us about locally here, and again, we're going to get to the news here in a moment, but the local chapter, the League of Women Voters, obviously you guys have been voting for just over 100 years, which is really neat when you look at that.
That's
I was just reading in my ARP magazine, I'll show you how old I am, but they were talking about a place in Nevada, was it Nevada or Nashville, where the equal rights vote came down to one vote, right? And
That's
that was
right.
And that was right there. And so they have that mark there. But tell us, the League of Women Voters here. Well, let's just do it right off the sheet here. The League of Women Voters in DeKalb County has a history defined by early citizens education, a long period of inactivity, and a recent modern revival. It operates a nonpartisan organization that aims at empowering voters and support local government participation. Now, that's a bone of contention. I'm going to have to talk to you about that later, Christi, about you guys being a nonpartisan, because some people I've talked to feel that you're not. But tell us what happened. You guys stopped for a while, and then you started up again. You stopped in 1986 and disbanded here locally, right?
That's right. And, DeKalb County was the first League of Women Voters organization after 1920.
Is that right?
Yes. And it started in Earlville.
Started in Chicago, right? Yes.
Earlville.
Okay.
So, and then, so we go back that far, and then they did break up for a while. And so we're the most recent iteration of it since about 2021.
Okay. And if you had to say one thing, the goal of the League of Women Voters is to do what?
We believe in informing voters so they have the information they need when they go to vote, because there's a lot to understand.
Okay, so no bias there when you're providing that information. And one thing I see you guys, tell us about 411, Vote 411, a really neat deal, how people can get all the information about the election, right, locally.
Yeah, yes. And we prepared Vote 411 for the primary, and that allowed you could choose which ticket, because in Illinois, you have to choose a party,
right, Democrat or Republican,
in the primary. And so we sent out letters, invitations to all the candidates, asked them to answer a few questions, and then we put that into Vote 411. We also download some GIS, geographic information, and then that helps so that when a voter goes in and puts in their address, their whole ballot comes up, whether it's a precinct, whether it's a ward in their city.
Okay.
We set it up so that they can see their ballot, see the name of a candidate, click it, find out what they said as they answered our questions, get a link to maybe they were in a forum, so they could, then examine how.
Maybe they run a podcast and listen to the podcast.
Maybe they run a podcast.
Very good. So all one-stop shopping right there. Now, how do you just do it? It's that 411. How do you get there now?
Well, let me add one more thing. It also tells you your polling place. It helps you make a plan. It helps you order a mail-in ballot. It's just a one-stop shop for everything you need to find out in order to vote. And if you go into the computer and put Vote 411, it'll take you there. Now, we have our own white page here in DeKalb County, so we can kind of track, okay, how well are we doing getting out and having people go to our site so that they can get the information they need. So we also have a QR code that takes people right there, but it's all connected. So
Okay. That's great. We'll talk some more about what the League of Women Voters are doing. But Dan, you got some news. What do you got for news, my friend?
A Genoa man is dead and several other people hurt after a 3-vehicle wreck on the afternoon of August 5th, which was yesterday.
Yeah.
But it's a podcast. But yes, it was August 5th. This was at Route 23 in Melms Road, DeKalb County. DeKalb County Sheriff's Office says a Mazda CX-5, which sounds like a sports
Got a
car.
little sports car, yeah.
It's a crossover SUV. So, driven by a 32-year-old lady from Chicago, Maria Carvajal. She was heading west on Melms. She stopped, then proceeded. She struck a northbound gravel truck.
Oh, boy.
The two vehicles then struck a Nissan Altima. The crash caused the gravel truck to roll. The Mazda caught fire. The driver of the Nissan, 22-year-old Josh Kleba, was pronounced dead. Carvajal and one of her passengers was flown to Javon Bay Hospital in Rockford with serious injuries. A 1-year-old was taken to KCH with minor injuries, and then the driver of the gravel truck was taken to Sherman Hospital in Elgin with moderate injuries. Carvajal was ticketed for failing to yield.
Wow. Oh, boy, that must have been horrific. Holy cow. Now, what was the babies in the hospital? Or what the status of the child?
1-year-old taken to KCH with minor injuries.
Okay.
Yeah.
Wow. All right. Well, on a lighter note, I guess this would be a lighter note. A man charged after more than $215,000 worth of equipment stolen from a solar farm here in DeKalb County. Now, the man was charged after authorities allege he stole more than $215,000 worth of equipment from a solar farm construction site in Kingston. Rick Thompson, 63, was listed as homeless in DeKalb County records, was charged with theft, a Class 1 felony. If convicted, could face up to 15 years. Records show that Schomburg and Schomburg construction employees told the DeKalb Sheriff's Office at 7 a.m. the equipment from the work site at the intersection of Route 72 and Pleasant Hill was missing. Deputies were told an Airtag was left inside one of the stolen items, and they were able to track it to a motel in Rockford at 4 a.m. The location of the Airtag in a room at Town and Country Motel in Rockford, court records show. A search warrant they got, and inside the room they found a total of $215,000 worth of equipment, including a Trimble base station and a Trimble rover station worth $80,000, a pile of driving equipment worth $54,000, and a Milwaukee 6-pack battery charger, $987. Now, do you think he knew the value of this stuff as he's ripping this off, or he's just grabbing whatever he can grab?
Well, yeah.
Because to end up with $215,000.
The first thing I thought of was copper.
Yeah, right.
That's at an all-time high.
Yeah. Because how would he unload this stuff? How do you sell it?
Well, a pawn shop is a quick.
A Trimble rover station? A lot of people, do you know what? I don't even know what a
That
Trimble.
sounds pretty niche-y.
It does. The authorities allege that the same items at the structure site were there. A woman showed police evidence on her phone that admitted to driving Thompson to the site of the alleged theft. Thompson said, quote, "I don't remember anything." On July 30th, he was granted a pretrial with Mary Buick. The judge was given a no-contact order. Now, ironically, this construction site was the same place where employees had recently rushed to the aid of a victim in a rollover car crash. You remember this? Was this a couple of weeks ago?
Okay.
On July 7th, a group of 11 Schomburg and Schomburg construction workers stopped their jobs to help 5 people seriously injured in a car crash near them. 3 weeks later, some of the sites discovered the equipment was gone. Yeah, so no good deed. I wrote down, no good deed goes unpunished. There you go. But how about that? Were they the same group that helped those car victims when they were, right there? Just amazing. Boy. So again, we're talking about the League of Women Voters. Now, it all started in Chicago. That's what I was saying, a speech by Ms. Cat, right? I believe the Cat, what's her name? Chapman. In her address to the National American Women's Suffrage Association Convention in July, St. Louis, Missouri, 1919, President Carrie Chapman Catt proposed the creation of a League of Women Voters to, quote, finish the fight and aid in the reconstruction of the nation. The next year, February 1920, 6 months before the 19th Amendment to the Constitution was ratified, the League was formally organized in Chicago as the National League of Women Voters. So that's how it all started, huh?
Mm-hmm.
Right there in Chicago.
Yes.
That's great.
Yes.
And now this is why, let's get into this right now here, because I interviewed a candidate yesterday, I won't say who it was, running for the board, and I said, do you know about the League of Women Voters? And I said, well, she goes, I'm a Republican. I don't think they would welcome a Republican into the group. Now, I'm quoting verbatim there. But here at the end, and this is 1919, she's saying this, the league is political but nonpartisan. It never supports political parties or candidates. It does study issues, develop consensus positions, and then actively work to support those positions. So could they be misconstruing that you guys are supporting a position, but maybe not necessarily a candidate?
I think that's what happens because actually we don't just pick an issue out of thin air. We vote on that. We have discussions and we do a lot of research, and then we set up a study. And through the study, we look at the research pros and cons, and then we vote on separate details about that issue or bill or whatever it would turn into. So, for instance, about a year ago, we did on gun violence prevention.
Okay.
So we did a study on that, and it was very rigorous. I mean, we looked at a lot of research, and it wasn't like, okay, we all voted the same all the way through. We had discussion, and we talked about pros and cons. And, when you really dig into it, you can have kind of a blanket feeling about an issue, but there are a lot of details, and it's really interesting to discuss them and look at all points of view. So that's how we come to our stands on certain issues. But
It's only right that you vote on things. It's the League of Women
Yes.
Voters. That's what you do.
that's right. And also, all of our members don't agree on everything.
Okay. But then majority rules in that case, right?
That's correct.
Okay.
Yeah. Well, actually, we take a consensus. So that's a little bit different, but
Okay.
yeah. But basically, it's majority rules.
And how many members do we have right now locally here in the DeKalb County
Oh,
chapter?
gosh.
Roughly.
We just started in 2021 again, and I think we have between 20 and 30, and I believe now we're up to 57.
Okay.
So we've really grown in the last 4 or 5 years.
Now, one of the histories of the DeKalb County League of Women Voters, of course, is voter education. And you guys were always big in having the debates. You put the debates on TV in the 70s and the 80s. Now, are you doing that locally? Do you hope to do that locally here, trying to get more debates going? Because we're going to have debates here on the podcast, but
Oh, that's
we're wondering
wonderful.
if you're planning that at some forums here as we get closer to the election.
Okay, I think we'll be able to, if we could copy or get a copy of your debates, we can also upload those into Vote 411.
Oh, wonderful.
Yeah,
Okay.
let's talk about that.
I'll do that because I've interviewed 3 different races, and all 6 candidates have agreed to debate. So
Okay,
it's going to
wonderful.
be that's great. Yeah.
Wonderful.
So,
We find it very difficult to run the debates because there are, I think 5 different state legislators throughout the county. So we represent the whole county.
right.
So you would have to do all of those debates for each of the offices. So Senate, representative, and then also congressional.
Yeah.
But we are lucky to work so closely with other leagues, and the Kane County League is going to have a debate at Batavia, in Batavia. I don't know that they've picked a date yet, but I know Jeff Kiker and Veronica
Martinez.
Martinez
Yes. She's been on the
Garcia.
podcast, yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
They'll be invited. So that's as far as I know. And I'm not really in, I offered to help as much as I could, but they're running it. So,
Right.
That's about as much as I know as to how it'll affect our county.
All right, very good. And we should point out you got an event coming up here on Saturday, August 8th at 2 o'clock at the library here. United and Rise, a rally for voting rights. Tell us what that's all about.
Okay. Well, it really kind of started about a month ago. Remember when they had the back alley market?
Oh, yes. Uh-huh.
Okay, so that was the same weekend that we honor John Lewis, who fought very hard for voting rights. And
March
so-
with Martin Luther King on the bridge in Selma, right? there?
Right,
Yeah.
right. And there's a movie, Selma, and you can learn a lot of history about it. And we are going to recommend some books and movies and all kinds of opportunities for people to get together.
And we apologize for the interruption. Christy was sharing with us, too, about that. Tell us about the time you were down you're in DeKalb on the sidewalks. What's going on?
Yes, the weekend of July, I think it was 16th, same weekend as Back Alley Market. And, we just hand out information to help voters be informed. We had some, we have a QR code that takes people to our website where they can find more information. We let them know the next election is November 3rd. And we also handed out good trouble buttons. So John Lewis is famous for saying, sometimes you have to make some good trouble if things aren't going,
I like that.
if things aren't fair.
All right, we're going to talk to League of Women some more, but Dan, what else you got for news, my friend?
DeKalb County History Center is offering a 7-week genealogy course.
Oh,
Starts September 2nd. This is for people interested in researching, their family history. For instance, I did mine, and I found out I have an aunt who worked at Parkland Hospital on November 22nd, 1963.
oh, get out of here. What
Dallas,
Kennedy was
Texas.
that? Yeah?
Yeah, she was a nurse there for 38 years.
Oh,
I found
wow.
that out through genealogy.
Cool.
Be that as it may, you are invited, and they'll cover topics like family records, census research, immigration records, military records, and writing a family history for your fam. So the cost is $25. You can contact Michelle Donahoe. I know you talked to
Oh, yes,
Michelle,
Michelle.
quite a bit.
Yes.
They will meet Wednesdays, 6:30 to 7:30 p.m.
So how did you do Ancestry.com? How'd you do it?
through October 14th.
Oh, I'm sorry, through October.
I don't recall that URL, but I did use a website,
Okay.
and
No blood samples or anything?
My sister and I collaborated on it, and we found out some interesting things.
Well, just that nurse story alone is cool.
Yeah.
You don't know if she would.
Parkland,
Do you know if she was on duty when that happened? Do you know if that?
I don't know. She worked there for 38 years as a nurse. I think we did confirm that she worked that day because my cousin in Florida, Luis, knew her.
Okay. Wow.
She's my Puerto Rican aunt.
All right.
So, and this was in Texas. So,
Uh-huh. Have you ever searched yours, Christy? How far back do you go? Do you know how far back?
Well, the Odell side of our family goes back to the 1600s. And
Oh, my.
I actually had a great-great-grandfather that fought for the North in the Civil War.
Wow.
He lived in Missouri at the time, and they came recruiting, and he was too young actually to join, but his brother was going in, and their father had died like 10 years earlier. And so he wanted to stay with his brother, and they served together.
Oh, wow.
Ended up in North Carolina at the very end of the war. He stayed all the way.
Is that right?
Mm-hmm.
Wow. Yeah, we had a guest here, a young lady who was a spelling bee champion there in Sandwich, but she's a daughter of the American Revolution, and I learned about that. If you have a kinfolk that would go all the way back to the Revolution, you are a daughter of the Revolution or a son of the Revolution. I didn't know that. That's really, really cool. But fought for the North, huh? How about that?
Yeah.
So I thought this was a great story. Tom and Jerry's, you may remember that Tom and Jerry's burnt down, and it was the whole community rallied around them. Well, they're donating here. Tom and Jerry's restaurant donates $500 to support DeKalb County veterans. Leadership from Tom and Jerry's restaurant, a staple in DeKalb Sycamore, recently donated $500 to support the DeKalb County Veterans Recognition Fund, July 22nd fundraiser. We at Tom and Jerry's always support our veterans, said the owner. We will continue to support our veterans. We will never, ever thank them enough for everything they've done and they've been through throughout the years. We will always be there for them. Now, the aim of the DeKalb County Veterans Recognition Fund is to preserve and maintain DeKalb County veterans memorials and historic sites. Do you guys know why we have Donna the Tank? I just learned that from Mike Embry. Because they used to manufacture the tank treads here in DeKalb.
Oh,
The treads for the tank. So the company gave them that tank. So Donna the Tank was donated because we made the treads here. I know we made the little planes, right? We made them here at Wurlitzer.
really?
You know, the drones. They made drones for the war at Wurlitzer. Yeah, during the war. They are close to $25,000. Their goal is $100,000. So if you'd like to help out, again, it's a great organization. You might see the signs up in DeKalb there with the veterans up there. Go to DeKalbCCF.org, DeKalbCCF.org, or you can call Dan Templin at 815-748-5383. But yeah, just amazing some of the stories you hear from the wars. And I imagine is that your great-grandfather was in?
Great.
Great-grandfather.
Yeah,
I'd love to
yeah,
hear his stories.
yeah,
Boy, to
yeah.
hear those. That's why it's so important, right? You know, Dan has 6 kids, and I hope he's going to document a lot of stuff because your kids are going to want to know that, what you did and what you thought and what you were doing at the time. Do you save historic stuff? Do you?
Yes. They're not too interested in
No, not now.
my history.
But
But yeah.
my wife's mother was just fanatical. She had the big books, you know, and she said every card she got, and then she would cut out articles from the newspaper and just painstakingly putting them together. But it was fascinating to go through that again.
I haven't done the painstaking
process. I have a lot of flash drives with stuff on,
Oh, okay. Well, there you go. Okay.
but
And
the painstakingness is coming. 'Cause that's a lot to
Well, they'll think the flash drive is medieval when they go to your yeah, flash drive. Come on. All right. What do you got? A floppy disk too? What else you got for news? You got other news?
Illinois is adding protection for children on social media. Governor Pritzker signed the Children's Social Media Safety Act. It's designed to safeguard children against addictive social media platforms, which apparently a lot of them are.
Yes.
Under the law, social media platforms are required to strengthen their default privacy settings for people under 18 and limit the use of algorithms designed to keep you scrolling
Yeah.
and getting the dopamine rush. I don't know how they're going to do that. The law also includes provisions to shield the precise location of minors and provides further limits of digital currency transactions.
There's a case, I just cut it out of the paper yesterday, a case where they're suing, I believe it's Apple, but 4 teenagers committed suicide. And they stemmed back from the fact that they were addicted to the social media and just ultimately led to their demise. So they're suing the company. But that's some scary, scary stuff. But you know that because we do a suicide prevention show here on our podcast, and there's websites where they go to encourage kids to commit suicide. I mean, because it's freedom of information. Our with that freedom of information thing, it's so dicey there. But there's websites where they go where they actually encourage young people to commit the suicide. And one case was where this young boy was talking on the chat bot, whatever you call that, and said that he wanted to commit suicide. And they told him all the right things, call 411 and do all these things. But then the robot goes, but if you do want to commit the act, here's what you should do. And took him to a street by his house to jump off this bridge that literally told him how to do it. Just unbelievable. So it's a slippery slope there that we get into. But on a lighter note, Sycamore, the Calv's murals are all the talk. Well, Sycamore's going to get their second mural. We're wondering how to pay for protective coating for the first one, though. The downtown mural, a city authorized on the west wall of the State Theater in Sycamore. The city's beautification committee successfully gained authorization to have the large-scale mural painted. Now, it's a giant movie projector, which is really cool. And then the second picture is going to be the courthouse, it looks like there. So expected to get the nod at Sycamore Place, including an image of the front facade of the DeKalb County Courthouse and the American flag statue of the soldiers atop the DeKalb County Civil War Memorial right there in Sycamore. During a brief discussion, they were talking about the UV coating. City Manager Michael Hall said as of Monday, grants and donations were funding the mural. No city funds are currently going to the project because that's what was the big thing here in DeKalb. People were upset that they were spending money on murals. And they thought, but it's such a, either way you can go on that. Koski, the alderman in charge of this, says whose beautification committee says he wasn't asking the city for $1. We will say right now we will not ask the city to pay for it. If that could stand, we will either raise the funding or take care of that. We might split something with the theater owner because that's bringing notoriety to his establishment. So, but there you have it, though. But they will not do that. I want to make that clear. Or you got one more story?
Yes. U.S. Senator Dick Durbin is not happy that Republicans are advancing a contempt of Congress resolution against former infectious diseases director Anthony Fauci. The Senate Homeland Security and Governmental Affairs Committee voted 8-5 to refer Fauci to the U.S. Attorney's Office in D.C. Durbin said in a social media post that it is a sad day when leaders use their authority in ways that cause harm or damage individuals who have spent their lives in service to others.
Yeah, that's boy, that could be another slippery slope there because Fauci, the whole, the more history you read, the more complicated it gets in terms of what he did and what he knew, what he didn't know. And then he has a diary, and somehow, how did they ever get a hold of his diary? Because that's what they're using against him now, things that he said in the diary. I'm like, how did the government get a hold of his diary?
Right, true, yeah, and it's, a very recent diary.
Yeah, so.
People still have diaries.
Yeah, I guess so. But I mean, how do they have access to it? How were they able to take that?
A judge.
Yeah?
I
So
mean,
they came to his house and probably. All right. Yeah, that's too complicated to even compliment. Let's go to the community
I want
calendar.
to read your diary too.
All right. I kept one when I was in college. So, I was a journalist. I was a journalism minor, so I kept it. And it's funny. I still have it. I go back and look at what a confused young man I was at 19. Well, let's take a look at the community calendar brought to you by your friends at Stagecoach Players theater, go to stagecoachplayers.com. You can always call over 815-758-1940, 758-1940. Their latest production, Bonnie and Clyde, will begin on September 10th, run through September 20th. Things to do in DeKalb County include Cortland Summerfest, which is going to go on Friday and Saturday at Cortland Community Park. DeKalb County Barn Tour. You ever take that, Christy, the big barn tour
Oh,
person?
gosh, our friends are on it for the first time this
Oh,
year.
really?
So, but it happens to be the same day as the rally.
Oh,
And,
okay.
Yeah, and she's also a member of the league, so it just everything is coming crashing here at the end of the
Now, what is
summer.
her barn? Tell us about her barn. Is it?
It's in Genoa
Okay.
on Route 72,
Okay.
about 4 miles east out of Genoa.
Neat.
Yeah.
Oh, that's
yeah.
great. 50 Men Who Cook, boy, it's a great thing. I did that one year. CASA's annual fundraiser, 50 Men Who Cook, is from 6 to 9 on August 8th there at the Barcema Alumni Center. Now, Dan, if you were going to do that, what would you cook? I'm sure you've got a specialty. You must have one that you knock out of the park every time.
I have an Italian chicken number.
Oh,
A lot of garlic and a lot of cooking wine.
I'm sure the chef imbibes as well in the process.
Cooking wine's expensive, by the way. I don't know. Maybe that.
All right.
I'm not really much.
Of a gourmet.
Okay. The Italian number is Rome 8745. No, that's a joke. Bluegrass concert in Sandwich will go on Friday at 7 o'clock. Award-winning bluegrass performers. And back to school movie in DeKalb, the Egyptian Theater in downtown DeKalb will host a free screening of Shrek 2 at 1 o'clock on Sunday. Doors open at noon so families can browse the back to school resource fair as well. Now, I have mixed feelings about that. I saw this again in Chicago where they're giving away these backpacks for the kids and with all the school supplies inside. And my mom and dad struggle every year to get us. I remember covering the books with newspaper. We had to cover our textbooks
Yeah.
to give to your brother then the following, next year. But now every year these kids get a brand new backpack and brand new school supplies. And I think it's great because I never would say anything bad about getting further education. But these parents are just like, well, what the heck, next year I'll get a new backpack and the kid will get school supplies. And I guess, for the kids, the lower middle class that's struggling, that you're going to use your brother's backpack that he used from your brother, it just seems a little rough there. But
I had a tote bag that my mom made.
oh, really?
Yeah. She made it. Sewed it.
Were you ridiculed at school for wearing? Dan's got the mom's tote
Not
bag.
for that, but I mean, you just nowadays in the post-NAFTA world where everything's mass-produced in China for a lot cheaper,
Uh-huh.
Different world now.
Oh, yeah. So I'm in first grade, and I'm using my mother's snow boots because I didn't have any boots at the time, or I outgrew them. So they're the kind where you take your shoes off, and it has a little fur lining on the top. So I get to school, and once you know it, I forgot my gym shoes, and the kids are already down at gym class. So I have the option of staying in the room, which I was scared to death to do that. So I get into my gym uniform with the boots on and go back down to the gymnasium. I never heard the end of it. All the way to eighth grade, they were calling me snow boots and things like that. Your mom's boots. I mean, it had to be the one with the little fur on top, Of course, I went down there, but that's what we did. You wore other people's stuff, The galoshes. They even make galoshes anymore. I mean, they make galoshes. Some other dates that you're talking about, Christy, though. September 24th, early voting and mail-in begins. October 6th, voter registration is the deadline. October 18th, online registration closes. October 29th, last day to apply for vote by mail. And, of course, November 3rd is Election Day. Make a plan, be ready and vote. I like that. But what do you know about mail-in voting without getting too in the weeds there with that? Do you guys promote that? Or do you feel like it's everybody says it's so easy to cheat that way, but yet it's ironic that Donald Trump votes by mail, and he's always pushing against the vote by mail when he votes by mail himself. But
We just help people find the options that they have. So we haven't really had a drive to say, well, you really should try mail-in voting. We did recommend last year that people be aware that the post office no longer postmarks the date for your letter right at the post
At that
office
date.
where you drop it off. It doesn't happen until it goes to a sorting area and it could take 1 to 3 days. So if people think they dropped their ballot off in time,
might be in for
that might
surprise.
not happen.
Yeah, so at least 3 days would be safe. At least 3 days before the cutoff. Right?
Exactly. Yeah.
And then, as far as you know, in order to qualify to vote by mail, I know members of the military can when they're out, but locally here, You can't.
Anybody.
Anybody can. all right?
Anybody. Yeah,
So
it
Dan
used
wants
to
to
be
vote by
called-
mail. He just
Oh, yeah.
would apply to get a mail-in ballot,
yeah.
and
My husband and I do it, and it's automatically sent out every year, the mail-in ballot.
Okay,
We don't
and
even
is there-
have to ask for it.
do you get a confirmation by that of mail that you received that, or no?
That
I can't imagine that they would.
Well, you can. I believe you can call in.
Or you could seek it out and confirm that you
I
vote.
can. Yes, exactly. And then they have a record of voting. They don't tell how you voted or for whom you voted, but there is a record after each election. In fact, someone asked me. She said she wished she had asked her dad because they came up from Mississippi during the Great Migration, and he could vote here, so he did. And she said, "Gosh, I wish I had asked him more about that." And I said, they might still have the records because I know they do for recent
Right.
elections. And in fact, we look at those to help. We're going to have a postcard writing table this Saturday at the rally, and we are going to ask people if they want to help, encourage people to vote by writing to people who voted in the general election of 24, but didn't vote in 22. So that, we're seeing that, okay, people just think that the presidential year is the year to vote and they don't
Right.
really pay attention to what's going on. So we're trying to encourage, more understanding. I read a book.
Yeah, this could be a very exciting midterm, that's for sure. With, people voting.
Exactly. I learned that something like 39% of adults cannot name the 3 branches of government.
Okay.
And do you know, like 75 million or so people voted for President Trump, 73 million or something like that. Almost 2 million people voted for other parties, and 83 to, there are different, estimates on that. Well, not estimates, but different ways you count the way that people voted, like were they registered, were they eligible, but at least 83 million people didn't vote.
Yeah, that's what's sad
Isn't
about the
that
whole thing.
strange?
Yeah, it is. Now, Dan, when he voted, I think you said you brought one of your kids with you. I think that was great to let them kind of see the process. And
I always do here in Illinois. I mean, I voted for 10 years by mail
oh, you did? Okay.
when I lived in Colorado. Here's what I like. I like to get it in the mail so I can peruse it,
Right.
study it, fill it out, and then drive over to the courthouse and drop it off in
Oh,
the ironclad.
Oh, so you made sure you didn't mail it. You drove it to the courthouse and.
Yeah, just for peace of mind. My wife and I, I'll say, Maria, is yours ready to go? And then I take them both.
Okay.
I did that for 10 years.
Yeah.
So, and then I moved here, and it was like I had to vote the old-fashioned way, which was nice and communal.
Uh-huh.
That was nice too.
That's neat. Oh, I didn't know you voted by mail out there. All right, not a Trivial Pursuit. Constitutional Crisis. This is going to be on August 13th from 7 to 8:30 here at the DeKalb Library, the lower level. Whether you're a longtime civic leader, a learner, or just beginning to dig in, the program at the UIC Professor Stephen Schwinn will offer an engaging, nonpartisan space to explore how Americans' founding documents continue to guide, and the sometimes complicated, our democracy. All are welcome. So tell us about that event. That sounds like a lot of fun.
Well, we started a committee in May called our Constitutional Crisis Committee because the League of Women Voters president and director in April of 25 declared we're in a constitutional crisis. And like I said, everyone makes up their own mind, but some league members agree and others don't. But the question is, what makes a constitutional crisis? So we knew of this professor. Actually, he does a monthly podcast, or not a podcast.
Don't be promoting another podcast.
No,
I'm kidding.
No, he does a talk through the Wheaton League of Women Voters, and you can go on their website and sign up for it, and you can even see the ones he has done in the past. But he takes the news literally, practically of that day, what's going on with the Supreme Court or decisions and our Constitution. And he's very nonpartisan in the way that he presents everything. And so we feel like it's a very great chance to invite the public to come and, if they want to consider whether they think it's a crisis or just learn more about the Constitution, we want to provide that.
I like that. So again, that'll be 7 o'clock on August 13th there at the DeKalb Public Library. Again, the finest document ever written, in my opinion. Or we're going to talk some more about that, but we'll get to sports real quick. And we just want to mention that the Trenton Soap Co. will be the new baseball coach at the DeKalb High School. Trenton was a player in 2012. A former catcher was approved on Tuesday as the new head coach of the baseball team. Josh Latimer, who was a great, great guy. He's been a member on our podcast. And his son is going to school at Northern. He's going to play football and baseball, 2 Division I sports. Pretty amazing. Latimer stepped down after a 17-11-1 campaign in 2026. Soapbook looks to take the Barbs to a next level in the postseason. They hadn't been there since 2010. So good luck to him. And, of course, the DeKalb Sycamore football game coming up on August 21st. That's always a lot of fun. Great community event there as well. Now, this is one, we take a look at the Obits now, the Obits here. And we had Mike Embry on with us. Do you know Mike Embry by chance? Well, he ran
No,
for
I know
mayor a
that
couple
guy.
years ago in DeKalb, a few years ago.
Yeah, and he was in the paper for something else.
Yeah, he's with the
recently?
Veterans Administration. I mean, he does all kinds of things here locally for the veterans. But he told us about this story. This is a gentleman from DeKalb in the Korean War. After nearly 75 years, Sergeant Benton Baker, Jack Benton Baker of the United States Army, has finally come home. Was born on December 5th, 1930, raised in DeKalb. Answered the nation's call, he entered the United States Army and proudly served Company E Battalion, 1st Cavalry. During his opening month of the Korean War, Baker distinguished himself with exceptional courage in combat, voluntarily to lead 5 soldiers in an assault against a North Korean machine gun nest. His decisive leadership and extraordinary heroism, his fellow soldiers escaped and earned him the Silver Star, one of our nation's highest valor awards for valor. Just weeks later, in a fierce fight, defended a vital approach to the overwhelming attack by the North Koreans. And after an intense hut-to-hut fighting, Baker was reported missing in action. Although United Nations forces retook the area, he was never found. With no evidence of his survival, the Army issued a presumptive finding of death on December 31st, 1953. For decades, his family lived with unanswered questions. Unknown to those who loved him, Baker's remains had been recovered by the South Koreans following the war, but could not be identified. Yeah, Mike Embry told us they used to steal the dog tags all the time, so you wouldn't know who the soldier was. But now through DNA, they were able to discover who this man was. So he's coming back here now. Forensic files, historical research, and painstaking laboratory work. Remains were possibly identified on July 28th. America's promise to leave no one behind was fulfilled. Sergeant First Class Jack Benton Baker was finally laid to rest in full military honors at the Fairview Park Cemetery in DeKalb. Besides his parents and Baker family plot, after nearly 75 years, a soldier who never stopped serving his country has finally come home. So, you see the MIA flag and stuff, and you realize that they're still looking for people. There's still soldiers that are missing in action. And to hear this story from the Korean War, to find this guy and be able to get buried next to his parents in the cemetery. I mean, what a beautiful story that is. Yeah, so Christy, what we do is like when Dan and I were on the radio, you used to have to pay to get your obit on there, and we always thought that was bogus. So we just like to acknowledge some of the wonderful people in our area. Donald Mallet, 84, of Sycamore, passed away. Born in 1941 in Aurora, married Jean Kelvin, served at the United States Air Force, embraced a lifelong passion for aviation, a dedicated pilot, and found peace and freedom when soaring through the sky. He expressed his love for music while playing his saxophone. He filled the home with beautiful sounds of a family jam session back in the day. This is the one I like here. Is this the right one? How he met his wife here. Was it the Donald Brown? Passed away, born in 1955 in Massillon, Ohio. Oldest of 4 children, Don enlisted in the U.S. Army, served in Vietnam and Korea. He joined the IBEW and did electrical work, including hanging fiber optic cables on telephone poles and installing cable television. That's where he met his wife, Michelle, and installing on June 1981. And when he filled in for a sick coworker to install cable TV in her home, that chance meeting led to a 45-year union where they welcomed 3 children, Donald, Joseph, and Lisa. So he's filling in for a guy one day, installing the cable, goes to this lady's house, and ends up marrying her for 45 years. Don worked for many years in the automotive industry, electric maintenance, and fiber optics. Generous, caring man. He volunteered to transport fellow military veterans from Chicago and Madison VA hospitals for medical appointments. But I just love those chance encounters like that, that if he wouldn't have filled in for that guy that day, he never would have met his future wife. And finally, Richard Lou Casey, age 88, born in DeKalb in 1938. Richard was a member of the Elks for 62 years, loved golfing, antique cars, and spending time with his loving wife and many families. Found a passion for the electrical trade while attending high school in Kirkland. He spent 49 years in the trade, 28 years at Masco Electric in Illinois as a journeyman, foreman, project manager, vice president, and partner. He retired from Masco Electric in 2005. Now, that's the American way there. See, he starts out as a journeyman, foreman, project manager, vice president, and finally partner. So just that hard work, that work ethic, and working your way up the totem pole there. You guys ever heard the Peter principle before? Where you keep getting advances and raises so you get to a job that you can't do. That's you're not good at, you're unable to do. Then you finally work up the Peter. You peter out there at the top there. So that's a look
Okay.
at the obits there. And then finally, we always like to look at the birthday and anniversary list brought to you by your friends at the DeKalb County History Center. You were just talking about Michelle Donahoe and the great work. Have you been out there, Christy? You been out there?
I was just out there today.
Were you
They
right?
had a 12 o'clock musician that told the story of Lincoln through music. And
Oh,
some of
wow.
the old instruments, like an old dulcimer.
Okay, I know a dulcimer. Okay.
Yeah. Oh, it was really interesting. He wove in stories. Most of them I had heard about Lincoln, but there were a few little details that were new. And that was great.
That is great. Yes. Well, again, the Joiner History Room, they're kind enough to send us our own, not the one you see in the midweek every week. This is one our very own. And this one, again, there's no way you guys would know this, but listen to this story. On 8th of August, 1866, a most desolating hailstorm swept through the belt of the northern central portions of DeKalb County, beating every species of vegetation into the earth as would a tramp of an army. Now, this is how they rode back then. Farmers had only started harvesting their wheat and oats where the crops remained unharvested. Every acre of it was rendered worthless. Thousands of acres of corn were beaten to bare stalks. The 6 to 7 inch hail. Now, a softball is what, 8 inches, right? So this is 6 to 7 inch hail, fell by millions. Children were knocked senseless. Pigs, fowls, and birds were killed by the hundreds. So can you imagine this? And this isn't made up. This is from the History Center. 6 to 7 inch hail, knocking children senseless. So they're getting hit by the hail. Unbelievable. And then all the crops were ruined. So that was back in 1866. DeKalb Sanitary District was organized in 1929 after a campaign with the slogan, Clean the Kish, had aroused the public to see the need for such a service. An investigation of the State Department of Public Health in 1927 revealed the raw sewage was being discharged into the Kishwaukee River from at least 7 different outlets. Imagine that. And then finally, well, that's the boring one. The last one is not. It's about a Quonset hut at NIU that got blown down. But that story about the hailstorm, I just can't believe that. See, I've heard people exaggerate, say baseball size, but 6 to 7, and then knocking children senseless. I mean, can you picture that? And then killing animals, killing
In those days, your livestock, that was everything.
Oh my gosh. Just wow. And birthdays, we missed a couple here. We missed Karen Elder, who had a birthday on the 2nd. Jody and Jeff Willard had their anniversary on the 3rd in DeKalb, 7 years. Happy anniversary. Carol Tannett, a good friend of mine, had a birthday in DeKalb. Gary Glidden had a birthday on the 4th. And then coming up here, Reverie. You guys ever seen that name? Reverie. Reverie Claire Bradley will have a birthday from Oregon. Also, Elizabeth Cristano from Sycamore will have a birthday on the 8th. And Mark Klatt will have a birthday on the 11th of August. So again, if you have a birthday, let us know about that. But and then to wrap things up here, again, voting is so important. Now, if people want to join the league, I see you're having a tea and talk time there in August, August 14th. Tell us about that. If anybody can come and have a little tea.
Anybody can come and join us, and we just talk about things that we want to, move forward on and get a lot of good ideas. And so,
And I forgot to mention Behind the Ballots coming up on August 30th there, and that's with Tasha Sims, a wonderful lady. Ever wonder what actually happens between the registering to vote and seeing election results? We can find out. This is great.
Yeah.
Because this is people, they won't have all this, who's handling the ballots and where are they? And
Right.
That's great. That's wonderful to know.
right.
And then this one I wanted to mention because, we had the React group on. I don't know if you know the React group, but they're the ones that No Kings protest over there at Hopkins Park. And I wonder the value of protesting. And Dan and I talked about that. People protest and it's a wonderful thing, but, is it really accomplish anything? Well, Chaz, how's that, Chaz? C-H-E-S, Chaz Thurber, professor of political science at NIU, will discuss what we know about protest movements from the U.S. and around the world. What does it mean at this moment in the United States political history? This free event is to be held at the Elwood House Museum, Visitor Center, 420 Linden. DeKalb registration is also emailed at a Zoom link for virtual attendance there.
that was last year.
Oh, was this last year?
Yeah, that
Oh.
was last year. This year
Oh,
we are
2025.
having, yeah. I'm amazed that you have such a good stack of information.
I'm so
about
proud
it.
of my research here, and I know it's from last year.
One of the points that he made was a lot of times the protests have an impact alongside a big shakeup with the economy. So, that all ties together.
Yeah.
But it kind of needs all those factors, working toward it.
I'm thinking
But-
going back to the Boston Tea Party. I mean, really go back to the Boston Tea Party. That was, there was a physical action there.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. Well, the League of Women Voters, Unite and Rise, is all about getting 8.5 million new voters by the midterms.
Wow.
Because that's only 10% of the people that that didn't show up in 24. So
Yeah. So, and as we wrap things up here, Dan and I were working at the radio station at the time in the last midterm, and it was just dismal numbers, but it was actually the best dismal numbers that we've had in a while. And I'm thinking this midterm might be the exception to the rule. I think we might see,
How
for
better
20 or
turnout?
30%. We'd be happy to get 20 or 30% of people out. I'd be thrilled to get that.
right. So yeah, and that's why we're reaching out to people that do vote in 24. We're also going to talk about down ballot. Like we said, some people don't know the three branches of government, and also that things are separate. Like you vote for people that go to Springfield and you vote for people that go to Washington, D.C. So we're going to have a chart that shows down ballot what they'll be voting for this time.
Okay.
And, it's a lot of the voting rights that we have come from the state. And so Illinois is a wonderful state for a lot of, like we do have the mail-in ballots, and we do have a long early voting time. And one of the things we're going to be looking for this Saturday is giving people an opportunity, and that's why Tasha is going to be there, to talk about being an election volunteer.
Okay.
There are always people needed to, make sure.
Well, we were talking about, high school students being election judges, and did you say your son is going to do that or no? Or was interested in doing that?
I don't think
He's not, was he 17?
old enough, but he's 15.
Oh, okay.
But, yeah, they were looking into it because it was hard to find civically minded people.
Yeah. So why not start young? Nothing wrong with that.
Is he in DeKalb County schools or?
Correct. Yep.
Okay. Yeah, and that's another thing we're working on is going into the schools and seeing what the schools would like, what they already offer, and because we find that a lot of civics education does not cover like your state government. Only at a very early. I taught fourth grade in Crystal Lake for years, and so we really taught a lot about Illinois. But after that, they kind of focus on the federal government. And
Well, in high school, we had to take the Constitution test. Now, do they have that anymore? Did you have to do that, Dan?
Yeah.
Yeah. I always thought that was great.
we took
That's
it
when I fell in love with
eighth
history.
grade and junior year. Yeah.
And nothing wrong with that.
No, I don't think so.
Well, let's be all right. Now, one last time, just clear up the controversy about you guys being a nonpartisan or a partisan group. Why do people think that way, and how can you keep them from thinking that way?
Well, the thing I love about the League of Women Voters is not thinking about parties. We really do. It sort of changes the way you think, and you do think about the issues more, because what you want when you go vote is not, oh, I'm this or I'm that. It's what issues do I care about, and what do I need to learn about those, and who's going to help me have that, as part of our legislation going forward. So
Yeah, people want to look it up. I didn't print it out, but you had an article from the Chronicle, I think 2 years ago, about you telling what to look for in a candidate, what to look for when you
Yes.
decided what to vote for the candidate. You have a little checklist of
And
things.
I have friends that are within both parties, and I had people compliment on, wow, that was really a great article. And I was worried, maybe it sounded like it was too, I don't know. I wouldn't have thought that it was liberal, but I thought maybe,
Well, that's what I mean. People might interpret
think
that way.
that.
Yeah.
And no, it was a Republican that was the first person to say, that was really a good article. So I felt like, good, maybe it looked very unbiased. That's what I thought I was.
So if they can't make the tea, tell us how, if you want to become a member of the League of Women Voters, or at least learn more about it, what's the best way to do that?
Well, we have just a wonderful communications person, Molly, and she keeps our website up. So you can go right to our website. And actually, from our website, you can check your voter registration and you can register to vote.
No, very good.
Yeah, even now, without Vote 411 being up. Actually, you can go to Vote 411 now and see a lot of things, but you won't see much about the candidates because we don't have all that. We haven't sent out the questionnaires and things like that. But yeah, they could come to tea and talk. And we also have a writing. We want to record this time. And if we don't do it, who will? So we have a writing, kind of like a tea and talk, but we get together, we write and we talk. And that's the Thursday after each tea and talk.
Okay.
And so far it's been at the library, but we're trying to, find different venues to invite in, people maybe that don't live right here in DeKalb, but
All right.
it does seem to be a convenient place.
That is Christi Slavenas from the League of Women Voters here, the DeKalb County chapter. And Dan, we always give you the final word. What's your final word, my friend?
38 years ago, Cubs played their first night game at Wrigley Field. 88, but then it was rained out.
It was rained out. Remember that?
the next
That was the God saying that it should not be done. All right, Dan, we take care of that lovely family. Yours, Christi, thanks again for being part of this. Big thanks to Michael Davis, my nephew, for getting this on the air again. And that's TD Ryan Unleashed News Podcast number 60.